was influenced with cars as a little boy. I had always conned my mom and my dad into buying me little cars, little trucks. So when I was growing up, I think I was 10, there was a guy in the neighborhood who was building a Model T, he was building a hot rod. And I used to sit on the sidewalk on my bicycle and I'd watch him build this thing. Growing up, I thought, you know, I want one of them. I want one, I want to be like that guy. And I think that was my biggest influence as a child, as a kid. And that man became my mentor. That man today is my friend. I bought the truck in 1993, I believe it was. It was a slow start in the very beginning. I had a lot of commitments in life, raising my kids and just all the normal day life. And that went on for several years as I began to start working on the 29. And I shortly realized just how expensive it really was going to be to do one of these things. And I don't know if I took that into consideration when I first started. In 2001, my wife was diagnosed with cancer. And we had to deal with that. That was a tough point in our life. Everything went on a back burner, not just my project, but everything in general. Just our whole life came to a stop. It was about a 2.5-year process where she went through treatment and recovery, and we got through it. A lot of people helped us and got us through it. And so that was one of the biggest obstacles in building the hot rod. After my wife's bout with cancer, I got back on the 29, maybe 3.5, 4 years, and then I was diagnosed with cancer. Everything came to a stop again, and got through it. I beat it, and back on the 29 I went. It was a slow pickup, but surrounded myself with good people that gave me help, and off we went with it. When it came time to fire up the hot rod, I called the guy who was my mentor from when I was a kid, and I says, Bob, I'm ready to fire this thing up. I need you here. He came over to the shop, and he was bent over into the motor area, and he's turning this, turning that, and I'm sitting in the cab, and he stands up, looks at me, smiles, and he says, fire it up. I remember old timers telling me, you know, there ain't nothing like turning that key over for the first time and hearing that motor just come alive. And I turned the key, and it cranked 2 times, and it lit off, and it went right to an idle. Oh man, that was exciting. I got to understand and feel what these guys used to tell me. After I fired up the motor and everything was like it was supposed to be, my target was to go to the Grand Nationals. I went to the Grand Nationals in 2011. I was in the Suede Palace. My car wasn't received real well there, and I was invited to go back to compete at the Grand Nationals in 2013. Where I got put into the Rod and Custom building, Building 8, and I competed there Sunday night. I would have never dreamed what was going to happen. They called my name. I took first place in class. Unbelievable. I won the Grand Nationals. Building the truck was a lot of fun doing, but I built it to drive. I didn't build it to trailer. I didn't build it to stare at it. Driving it down the street, driving it through the canyons. One of my favorite places to drive is up and down the coast. Hearing the motor hum, looking down at the gauges telling me everything is happy. The whole scene is just incredible for me. And Southern California and a hot rod, don't get no better than that. I jam down to Neptune's and park, get a bite to eat, look at all the people. Sometimes I just stop at a place where I've never stopped. You see people on the beach, you see the surfers out in the water at selected places. It's pure Southern California. You gotta see it. It's incredible. It's really wonderful. If somebody is building a hot rod out there, I'll tell you, it takes heart and a lot of ambition. Getting into a classic or an exotic car or a hot rod It's a whole different deal. Everything changes when you get out of your generic car and you get into a classic car, a hot rod. People look at you a little bit different. They're curious. You're going to kind of be the center of attention sometimes. People want to know what you have, why you did it, how much money it cost. You meet really, really neat people when you drive one of these things.